She walked into the wrong interview and became the millionaire CEO's wife. Before we dive into today's story, tell us in the comments which city are you watching from. We love hearing from you. Now, imagine you're desperate for a job, walking into an interview, and accidentally land yourself a whole new life you never saw coming. That's exactly what happened to Chloe. Chloe wasn't having the best day. Her heel was bent, her hair stuck to her forehead from the heat, and her resume clutched tightly in her hand had a very noticeable coffee stain splashed across it. But she was determined. Today was supposed to be the day. Her long-awaited interview at Parker Print, a neighborhood coffee shop offering a steady paycheck, bus fare, and unlimited coffee. After hours of wandering unfamiliar streets, Chloe finally arrived at the address listed. She stared up at the massive glass building towering above her, polished, shiny, intimidating. The sign at the top gleamed, Parker Corp. Wow, Chloe muttered to herself, squinting at the glass doors. This coffee shop sure spent a fortune on decor. Must have some amazing printers. Shrugging, she stepped inside. A stone-faced receptionist barely looked up. Name? She asked flatly. Chloe Martins, Chloe answered brightly. Here for the interview. Without a smile, the receptionist handed her a badge and silently pointed toward the elevators. Room 7C was all she said. Chloe squeezed into the elevator, surrounded by people in sharp suits. She awkwardly tried to mimic their confident posture, pretending not to notice how loudly her cheap blazer crinkled with every move. An assistant ushered her into a sleek glass meeting room. You can wait here. Mr. Parker will see you shortly. Mr. Parker? Chloe thought. This coffee shop is no joke. Moments later, the door opened, and in walked the most intimidating man she had ever seen. Tall, sharply dressed, a serious expression carved into his face. Definitely the Parker from the giant sign outside. He sat across from her, scanning a tablet without looking up. Name, he said without emotion. Chloe Martins, copy shop, she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. He raised an eyebrow, glancing at her stained resume. You're here for Parker Print? Yes, Chloe said enthusiastically. I'm an expert in A4 paper jams, rogue staplers, and wild toner cartridges. It's a natural gift. Nathan Mr. Parker stared at her. You're in the wrong building. Parker Print is downstairs. 2 doors past the pharmacy. This is Parker Corp, a global tech company. The interview here is for a secretary position. Chloe froze for half a second, then straightened her shoulders. Well, I'm great at that too. I answer phones like a pro. I've got classic lines memorized. Good morning, how can I help you? And even some spicy variations for when enthusiasm is needed. Nathan studied her, trying to figure out if she was joking. I organize files, folders, even broken hearts, Chloe added quickly. And I kinda know how to use spreadsheets. I opened one once that counts, right? Nathan blinked slowly. You're seriously trying to convince a total stranger to hire you for a job you didn't even know existed 3 minutes ago. That's called professional flexibility, Chloe said brightly. I adapt. You want coffee? I'm your barista. Meeting reminders? Done. Need me to entertain your grandma at a business dinner? I'll even dance badly, but with spirit. Nathan pressed his lips together, clearly trying not to laugh. You dance terribly? He asked. With enthusiasm, she nodded proudly. Sometimes that's all you need. Nathan leaned back, genuinely amused. You talk a lot. I listen too, Chloe said with a wink. I'm basically a human Swiss Army knife. Finally, Nathan chuckled. You're a complete disaster. Chloe beamed. A functional disaster. If I fall, I get up. If I mess up, I improvise. If I get lost, I ask Google Maps. Nathan rested his chin on his hand, studying her. You know, he said thoughtfully, the last person who made me laugh during an interview? Chloe leaned forward eagerly. Your mum? Nathan cracked a real smile. No, no one until now. Chloe blinked. Well, that's a good sign, right? Nathan's face grew more serious. Tell me one thing. Why should I hire someone who walked into the wrong building, mistook a coffee shop for a global tech company, and basically declared war on common sense? Chloe's smile faded. She took a deep breath and answered honestly, because I need this, because I work hard, because if you give me a chance, I promise you won't regret it. Or, at the very least, you'll laugh a lot. Nathan studied her for a few long seconds. Then, without a word, he stood up. Start tomorrow. 8:00 am, he said. Chloe blinked. Are you serious? Very. Personal secretary. Office next to mine, Nathan said, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. There'll be plenty of paper and coffee, so you're already in the right mindset. But, he added with a playful glint in his eye, please try not to embarrass me during your first week. Chloe sat frozen, speechless, as he walked out. Was this really happening? It was just the beginning. Before we continue, drop a comment below. If you accidentally walked into a billionaire's office, what would you say? Let's hear your wildest guesses. Now, when Chloe stumbled into a life she never expected, she thought the surprises were over. She was very, very wrong. Nathan smiled slightly as he watched through the glass, seeing Chloe walk out of the building still clutching her interview badge like it was a golden ticket. I walked into the wrong building and got a job, Chloe whispered to herself in the elevator, still in shock. Either I'm insanely lucky or he's completely crazy. Probably both. Meanwhile, Nathan Parker, the CEO himself, watched her leave from his office window, amusement dancing in his eyes. The next morning, something even more miraculous happened. Chloe showed up at 7:56 am. Early. Excited. That alone deserved a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She walked into Parker Corp proudly, her interview badge from the day before still swinging around her neck and a nervous smile plastered on her face. She wore her best formal outfit, meaning the least wrinkled blouse she owned, and a pair of pants she could zip up without holding her breath. As she approached the front desk, the same receptionist from yesterday gave her the same skeptical, "Are you serious?" look. Chloe just beamed. "Good morning. First day on the job. You can smile. I promise not to put toner in the wrong place today." Well, there's no toner here, right? She laughed at her own joke. The receptionist didn't. Unbothered, Chloe hopped into the elevator and rode up to the 17th floor like she'd been working there for years, even though she was counting every step just to keep from passing out from anxiety. Waiting for her was a woman who looked perfect, clipboard in hand, heels clicking sharply like an angry metronome. "You must be Chloe," she said, voice clipped. "That's me. The new secretary, officially hired by accident but totally ready to make it work," Chloe said, giving an awkward thumbs up. The woman raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. "I'm Amanda, executive assistant. I'll show you your desk and teach you just enough to avoid getting fired on day one." Chloe grinned. Love the motivational tone, very reassuring. She nearly tripped over her own feet trying to keep up. Amanda didn't laugh. Maybe she ran on the same humorless software as the receptionist downstairs. Amanda led her to a wide, modern desk, equipped with a computer, a phone, a notepad, and a white mug that said, "Keep calm and schedule it." "This is your desk," Amanda said briskly. "Your job is to schedule, answer, organize, and keep Mr. Parker on time, which, warning, is like trying to get a lion to do yoga." Chloe's eyes lit up. "Nice. I love a challenge. I once got a cat to take a bath. Needed 4 stitches, but he smelled great afterward." Amanda gave the tiniest half smile. "If you can keep Nathan Parker out of chaos for a week, you win a prize." Chloe leaned in. "What kind of prize?" "The right to keep your job." Chloe nodded solemnly, pretending to make a mental note. "Got it. Major prize." The next 2 hours were a beautiful disaster. Chloe tried to figure out the company system, clicking on the wrong programs, accidentally restarting her computer twice, and calling HR thinking it was housekeeping. At one point, she even scheduled a meeting with a person who didn't exist. Amanda leaned over her screen. "Star counselor is not an executive," she said dryly. Chloe shrugged. "I thought it was a futuristic title. You know, maybe we're investing in spaceships soon?" Amanda simply walked away. Smart move. By noon, Chloe had dropped an entire box of paperclips on the carpet, mistaken an executive for a coffee delivery guy, and stuck a post-it note to her forehead that said "important" while answering the phone. An old habit from her lunch delivery days. At around 11, Nathan emerged from his office, curious. He leaned against her desk, arms crossed, surveying the chaos. "Are you sticking reminders to your forehead?" he asked, amused. "Visual strategy," Chloe explained brightly. "My brain ignores my screen, but it never ignores my own forehead. Science." Nathan chuckled quietly. "Any fires yet?" "Not yet," Chloe said seriously. "But the printer gave me a weird look 10 minutes ago. I'm watching it." Nathan laughed again, quietly but genuinely. "And the calls?" he asked. "Two," Chloe reported. "One from your grandma. She wants to know if you're eating well. The other was a woman who just said Nathan and hung up. Might have been an ex. Or a future ex. Who knows?" Nathan raised an eyebrow. "And what did you say?" "I told her Nathan was busy trying to look more friendly than he really is," Chloe said proudly. Sounded pretty accurate. Nathan shook his head, laughing as he walked back into his office. Moments later, Amanda stormed over, clipboard in hand. "You really said that on an anonymous call," she whispered harshly. Chloe shrugged. "I thought it was bold." Amanda sighed. "This is a corporation. You need to be more contained." Chloe grinned mischievously. "I can be contained. I'm just flexible containment." Amanda stared at her for a second longer than necessary. And for the briefest moment, Chloe thought she saw something crack, maybe a smile. Before we dive back in, tell us in the comments, if your grandma set you up on a date with zero warning, how would you escape it? Let's hear your best excuse. Now, Chloe thought surviving her first day was her biggest victory. But she had no idea her chaotic charm was about to turn an entire empire upside down. Chloe grinned at Amanda. "Contained? Easy. I just need a rubber band." At lunchtime, Chloe made her way down to the company cafeteria, a huge, sleek place filled with people glued to their phones, serious looks carved into their faces like stone statues. Grabbing a tray, she flashed a smile at the lunch server. "Hi there. I'll take the stress with tense sauce. And a side of hopeless intern, please." The woman behind the counter actually laughed. A rare achievement in the sea of corporate zombies. Chloe found a seat by herself, not by choice, but because everyone else seemed too busy to even chew. As she poked at her food, a voice piped up beside her. "Did you really say he looked like a Nathan trying to be friendly?" She turned to see a guy with a techie vibe and a badge that said Eduardo sitting down next to her, an amused smile on his face. "I did," Chloe admitted proudly, "and I haven't been fired yet, which honestly feels like a win." Eduardo grinned. "I heard some chatter. You're the new secretary, the one hired by accident and kept out of mercy?" "Yep, that's me," Chloe said, raising her hand like a badge of honor. "I'm basically a charming ball of chaos." "I like you already," Eduardo said, chuckling. "Everyone should." By the end of the afternoon, Chloe managed to schedule all of Nathan's meetings for the next day. She only mixed up 2 names. Progress. Amanda walked past her desk, her face as unreadable as ever. "You survived your first day," she said dryly. "I'm surprised too," Chloe said, half joking. "I thought somebody would have packed me into a cardboard box before 3 p.m. Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Parker wants to see you." Chloe's eyes widened. "He wants to see me? Like, now? Like, yesterday?" "Come on," Amanda said, already turning down the hallway. Chloe knocked on Nathan's door, her heart pounding. He was sitting behind his desk, scanning spreadsheets. "Chloe," he said without looking up. "Tell me something. What exactly do you think a secretary is supposed to do?" She straightened her shoulders and answered immediately. "Easy. Handle what no one else wants to deal with. Remember what everyone else forgets, and smile while the world's on fire. Also, I'm excellent at holding elevator doors and pretending I understand technical terms." Nathan finally looked up, folding his arms. "You had a curious day." "Define curious," Chloe grinned. "Funny, chaotic, inefficient but surprisingly functional." Nathan's mouth twitched into a smile. "If that's a compliment, I'll take it." "If it's a critique, I'll deny it till the end," Chloe said, grinning wider. Nathan shook his head in amusement. "You know what's even stranger?" he said. "You thought Parker Corp was a coffee shop, and despite everything, you still accomplished more today than the last 3 people we hired for this job." Chloe's face lit up. Was that a compliment? Because my self-esteem just skyrocketed. It was, but don't get used to it, Nathan said, standing. Go home, get some rest, and please, don't show up tomorrow in a t-shirt that says Chaos Intern. Chloe pressed a finger to her chin thoughtfully. Noted, but honestly, that's a great idea. Nathan chuckled quietly as Chloe practically bounced out of the office. She hit the elevator button with pride. One day down, a boss who was mysteriously intrigued. A giant company that now had a secretary who danced badly and remembered birthdays with ease. On her way home, Chloe called her mom, still beaming. Mom, you're not going to believe this. I started today, and I haven't been fired yet. Is that good? Her mom asked, confused. That's a miracle, Mom. A miracle with air conditioning. Meanwhile, back at Parker Corp, Nathan sat behind his desk, staring thoughtfully at Chloe's workspace. Her colorful sticky notes were still stuck to the monitor. One of them read, "Don't forget to remember." Nathan smiled faintly. That girl's nuts, he thought. But for the first time in a long time, he didn't mind the chaos. Later that night, Nathan was back in his office, blinds half closed, nursing a mild headache and reviewing endless reports. His phone buzzed. He checked the screen. Grandma Dolores. He sighed and answered cautiously. Hi, Grandma. Don't give me that tired hi. Her voice snapped through the line. It's noon and I bet you haven't eaten anything decent. Coffee doesn't feed a grown man, Nathan, and it doesn't hide those dark circles either. Nathan leaned back in his chair, massaging his forehead. I'm fine, really, just busy at the office. Busy? My time's what's running out, Grandma Dolores said bluntly. So listen carefully, since you can't seem to find someone yourself, I'm taking care of it. Nathan froze. What do you mean, taking care of it? I'm setting up dates for you, she declared. Nice girls. No excuses. No disappearing at the last minute. Got it? Nathan felt a chill race down his spine. His grandmother wasn't famous for empty threats. Grandma, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Dolores barked. It's about time you start a family. Most of my friends already have great-grandchildren. And what do I have? A grandson buried in spreadsheets who thinks holidays are a myth. Nathan rubbed his face. I know you worry, but it's not that simple. It is simple, she interrupted. You're the one making it complicated. I'm making calls today. One of them is my friend's daughter from church. She's a lawyer, plays the piano, and cooks the full package. Mark your calendar. Friday, 7 p.m. Nathan groaned softly. Grandma, no. This is not a negotiation, she said sharply. This is an ultimatum. You will go on those dates, or I'm coming to that office myself. Nathan leaned back in his chair, defeated, and he had a terrible feeling. His carefully organized life was about to get a whole lot messier. Quick question before we dive in. If someone offered you a fake relationship for money and job security, would you say yes? Drop your answer in the comments. When Chloe thought landing the wrong job was crazy enough, she had no idea her next role would be even wilder. Pretending to be the CEO's girlfriend. Nathan stared at the black screen of his phone, Grandma Dolores's threats still ringing in his ears. If you don't find someone, I'll drag you out of that office myself. The call had ended without another word. He sighed. That's when he heard it soft humming from outside his office. A familiar jingle from a cereal commercial. Curious, Nathan peeked through the blinds. There was Chloe sitting at her desk, laughing on the phone with someone from the events team. Yes, Mr. Parker will be available at 3. No, he doesn't bite, he just growls a little before lunch. But that's normal. She laughed warmly, completely at ease in the sterile world of suits and spreadsheets. And that's when it hit Nathan, a bold, insane idea. One that made ridiculous, perfect sense. Minutes later, Chloe was called into Nathan's office. She stood in front of his desk, her badge slightly crooked, her smile totally spontaneous. You called for me? She chirped. Close the door. Have a seat, Nathan said, unusually serious. I need to talk to you about something, a little out of the ordinary. If it's about the email I sent that said good morning with 3 O's, I can explain, Chloe said quickly. I was just excited. Nathan shook his head. That didn't bother me. Chloe exhaled. Oh good, then I'm nervous for nothing. Nathan leaned forward, fingers laced on the desk. My grandma wants me to get married. She's persistent. She's already scheduled a date for me this Friday. Chloe tilted her head. And you're telling me this because? I need you, Nathan said, pausing, to pretend to be my girlfriend. Chloe's mouth dropped open. You want me to pretend we're dating? Just for a while, Nathan said calmly. If she thinks I'm in a serious relationship, she'll stop setting up dates. And no one would ever expect I'd fake a relationship with my brand new assistant. It'll seem real. Chloe crossed her arms. So, you saw me humming about coffee and thought, yep, that's the girl to fool a sweet old lady. Nathan allowed a faint smirk. Something like that. And what's in it for me? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Bonus. Flexible hours. Guaranteed job security. As long as the deal lasts. Chloe leaned back in her chair, tapping her chin. This is a little crazy, she said. But maybe. I'm just crazy enough to say yes. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Really? On 3 conditions, Chloe said, grinning. 1, no meetups before 9 a.m. 2, if someone asks how we fell in love, I get to say it was because of your thrilling quarterly reports. And 3, you have to smile in public. At least with your eyes. Nathan took a deep breath and extended his hand. Deal. Chloe shook it firmly. We're about to fool a sweet old lady. How wholesome. Friday night came fast. Chloe chose a simple dark blue dress, a loose bun, and soft lipstick. Nothing flashy. When she walked downstairs, Nathan was already waiting with the car. You look appropriate, he said awkwardly, carefully avoiding any compliment. And you look exactly like yourself, Chloe teased. CEO face, CEO outfit, and that expression like you've already scheduled breakfast for the year 2045. Nathan smiled slightly as they got into the car. Shall we? Sure. I'm excited for my first official dinner as the hired girlfriend. Can I say you snore? I don't snore, Nathan said defensively. Denial's the first symptom, Chloe said with a wink. The Parker family home was beautiful, like a page ripped out of a luxury magazine. Perfect gardens, neat trees, bright lights welcoming them inside. Grandma Dolores greeted them warmly, giving Chloe a surprisingly strong hug. Finally, a real young lady next to my grandson. I was starting to think he was made of ice. Chloe grinned. He's more like dry ice. Seems cold but get too close, and you get lost in a fog of confusion. Dolores burst out laughing, a huge, hearty laugh. Nathan just sighed. During dinner, Chloe was perfect. Polite, funny, honest. She even pretended to like economics books just to charm Grandma. At one point, Dolores leaned in, smiling brightly. You two make a lovely couple. Have you thought about making it official? Nathan choked on his wine. Chloe smiled calmly. We're taking things slow. But honestly, he's practically a husband already. Yesterday he asked if we had milk in the fridge. That's commitment. Dolores roared with laughter, patting Nathan's shoulder. Finally, someone who balances out your seriousness with humor. I like her. On the drive home, the car was filled with a comfortable silence. Your grandma is amazing. And dangerous, Chloe said, laughing. She likes me a lot. I noticed, Nathan said, glancing at her. Congratulations. You're the first woman in 5 years to get a direct compliment from her. Chloe beamed. I feel like I just won an invisible trophy. Then she turned serious. But Nathan, if we're keeping this up, we need to get our story straight. How we met, our first kiss, that kind of thing. Nathan nodded. All right. We'll build a timeline. And if someone asks if we've, Chloe wiggled her eyebrows playfully. Slept together? Just say yes, Nathan said smoothly. Skip the details. Chloe laughed. Details are my specialty. The next morning, Nathan arrived at his office and found an envelope sitting on his desk. Inside was a handwritten list titled, Our Story Official Version. It read, We met at the office coffee shop. You offered me sugar. Our first conversation was about the weather. So romantic. You asked me to lunch a week later. I said yes because you looked lonely and lived on protein bars. Our first kiss was in the elevator I tripped. You caught me. Classic. No nicknames yet, But if anyone asks, you call me Chloe. I call you Mr. Grumpy. Nathan chuckled, a rare, genuine smile tugging at his lips. Without thinking, he picked up his pen and added one more line at the bottom. And if they ask how I feel about her, I'll say, she makes me laugh, and for me, that means a lot. Chloe never saw that little note. If she had, she would have realized that something real was already starting to grow between the CEO and his chaotic assistant. Just then, 3 quick knocks came at the door. Excuse me? Chloe's cheerful voice floated in. Before Nathan could answer, she peeked in, holding 2 mugs. I brought coffee. One with sugar, one without. Pick fast. If you choose the wrong one, pretend it's fine. And pretend you forgive me. Nathan laughed under his breath. He lowered the paper, grabbed the right mug, and smiled quietly. Somehow, pretending didn't feel so pretend anymore. Before we dive in, if you had to fake date someone for a month, would you set ground rules, or just wing it? Tell us in the comments. Chloe thought pretending to be Nathan's girlfriend was going to be awkward. She wasn't ready for how real everything was starting to feel. Nathan picked the right coffee cup without hesitation. Chloe grinned, handing it to him. You got it right. Bonus points for our imaginary relationship, she said with a bright smile. She turned to leave when Nathan's voice stopped her. Chloe, I think it's time we take the next step. Chloe froze mid-step. You mean the next step in the act, right? Because if it's real life, I'm going to need to sit down. Nathan gave a rare half smile. In the act, but something important. My grandmother could drop by any day now, and she'll expect us to be living together. Chloe blinked. Living together? As in, moving in together? Nathan set down his mug. Exactly. You'll need to move into my apartment just for now. A week or 2, maybe 3. Chloe tilted her head, thinking, so, you want me to live under the same roof, pretend to be your girlfriend, smile through family dinners, and carefully avoid kicking you while passing in the hallway? That's a very accurate summary, Nathan said. Chloe grinned. Perfect. I'm in. Nathan raised an eyebrow. That easy? You're offering me a place to live, coffee, and a fake relationship with negotiable terms. Honestly, this doesn't even crack my top 5 craziest decisions. That evening, Chloe arrived at Nathan's luxury building dragging a purple suitcase plastered with a sticker that read, Do not touch, organized mess. She had a backpack on one shoulder and a pillow hugged tightly in her arms. Ready for my new, temporary life as a pretend wife, she said breathless. Nathan held the door open, eyeing her luggage. Did you bring the whole house? Just the essentials, Chloe said cheerfully. Clothes, slippers, my favorite pillow, and, of course, the emotional support cookie jar from 2014. Nathan's apartment was exactly what Chloe imagined. Stylish, quiet, impossibly organized like everything had been measured with a ruler. Chloe twirled in the middle of the living room, wide-eyed. This place looks like a catalogue. Where are the tangled charger cords, the forgotten coffee mugs, and the shoes kicked off by the door? Nathan shrugged. They don't exist. Everything has a place. You better take a picture now, Chloe said with a laugh. Because that's about to change. Nathan showed her the guest room. This is yours. Set it up however you like. Just avoid pets, or plants that require emotional investment. So no hamster, huh? Chloe teased, dropping her suitcase with a dramatic thud. In 10 minutes flat, Chloe had added her personal touches. A colorful scarf draped over the bed. A personal pillow fluffed just right. 2 random books scattered on the nightstand. Instant chaos. Instant Chloe. They sat down at the dining table to hammer out the living together rules. Chloe grabbed a notepad and a pink pen. Rule 1. No entering each other's rooms without knocking. Unless it's a fire, a hurricane, or a really big insect, she said. Agreed. Nathan nodded. Rule 2. No touching personal computers. Fair. Rule 3. Wash your own dishes, even water glasses. Nathan chuckled and added a 4th rule. No speakerphone calls in shared spaces. And Rule 5, Chloe said, tapping her pen dramatically, any argument must be paused for chocolate. Or a light TV show. They exchanged a look almost smiling. We're being very reasonable, Chloe said proudly. It's still the first day, Nathan warned. Later that night, after a scrambled egg and avocado toast dinner made by Nathan himself, they watched a comedy show on the couch. Chloe sat cross-legged, laughing loudly. You actually laugh at this? She teased. Nathan allowed a tiny smile. Not as much as you. You're expressive enough for both of us. Chloe picked up a pillow and pretended to throw it at him but stopped. I don't trust you enough yet to start a pillow fight, she said. That night, Chloe tossed and turned in bed. The mattress was comfortable, but the silence was too much. No cars honking, no neighbors arguing, no dogs barking at nothing. Just silence. And her thoughts. She padded into the kitchen and found Nathan sitting in the dark, sipping tea. Can't sleep? She asked, switching on a low light. I usually stay up late, Nathan said. Me too. But tonight, maybe it's the fact that I'm living with a man I've known for 4 days, Chloe joked, sitting across from him. Nathan smirked. I've been through trickier situations. And you seem trustworthy. Chloe blinked, surprised. Wow. That might be the nicest thing you've said to me. Don't get used to it, Nathan warned lightly. I never get used to nice things, Chloe said quietly. They usually come with hard tasks. They sat in companionable silence for a few moments, sipping tea. Then Chloe asked, What if your grandma drops by? Unannounced. She will. It's just a matter of time. Then we need to make it look convincing. Photos together. A toothbrush of mine in your bathroom. Maybe a pair of shoes by the door? Strategic mess, Nathan agreed. Part of the plan. But no calling me honey, Chloe added quickly. And you don't call me darling unless the situation absolutely demands it. They smiled at each other, a silent agreement forming stronger than words. The next morning, Chloe woke to the sound of Nathan's alarm. When she entered the kitchen, Nathan was already dressed sharply grey suit, polished shoes, perfectly calm. You get ready with terrifying efficiency, Chloe said, pulling her hair into a messy bun. Habit, Nathan replied simply. Chloe looked down at a printed sheet Nathan handed her. Things to remember. Birthdays, company event dates, relative names, how we met. She smiled reading it. Our first kiss elevator trip rescue? Wow, almost poetic. Does it work? Nathan asked. It works. But we need some backup romantic lines like, since I met you, coffee tastes sweeter. Nathan deadpanned. Don't ever say that. Chloe laughed and grabbed her purse. Shall we? We have 7 minutes, Nathan said. Perfect. Just enough time for me to practice my loving gaze in the elevator mirror, Chloe teased. At the office, Nathan barely made it through the front door before his phone buzzed again. Grandma Dolores. What's Chloe's favorite color? Why does that matter, Grandma? I'm buying throw pillows for the engagement gift you haven't told me about yet. Nathan sighed. Navy blue. That'll do. Perfect. Oh, and I've emailed you some engagement ring options. Nathan hung up just as Chloe walked in holding a box of donuts. I thought today was a good day for sugar, she said cheerfully. Unless there's a diamond ring inside that box, you're not solving my problems, Nathan muttered, grabbing a donut. Someone's grumpy this morning. What happened? Chloe asked, smirking. My grandmother is now planning our engagement. Without us, Nathan groaned. Well, Chloe said brightly, pulling out her planner. At least someone is putting effort into this relationship. Later that afternoon, after wrapping up meetings, Chloe and Nathan rode the elevator together. Chloe leaned against the wall with a mischievous grin. If this were a movie, she said, this would be the moment when the tension builds. The characters would look at each other, the music would swell. Nathan crossed his arms, smirking. You really believe that? Of course, Chloe said confidently. Every good story has its elevator moment. It's where everything changes. Nathan went quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he asked, voice low, what if we're in one? Chloe and Nathan thought they were just playing a part. But real life doesn't always follow the script. As they stood in the elevator, the soft hum of the city around them, Chloe tilted her head. So, the elevator isn't just a setting anymore, but part of the turning point? Nathan gave a rare small smile. Just a thought, he said. Chloe raised an eyebrow. Kind of poetic coming from you. Before Nathan could answer, the elevator dinged on the 12th floor, and a group of employees piled in, shattering the moment. Chloe leaned closer and whispered, "If background music starts now, I'm going to laugh." Nathan didn't respond, but the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. After work, Chloe hurried back to her tiny apartment to get ready for the big investor dinner. She chose a simple but elegant dress, styling her hair into soft waves. When she arrived back at Nathan's place, he was, as always, already dressed sharply in his dark suit. "Nervous?" he asked, watching her walk in. "A little," Chloe admitted. "I'm still not sure if I'm your secretary, your fake girlfriend, or your emotional crime partner for tonight." "Just act like someone who enjoys teasing me," Nathan said dryly. "I'm very good at that," Chloe grinned. The restaurant was stunning, reserved, elegant, with soft lighting and waiters who looked like they belonged in a perfume commercial. Nathan greeted the investors warmly, introducing Chloe with ease. "This is my girlfriend, Chloe," he said, his tone natural. Chloe offered a warm smile and a confident handshake. "Nice to meet you. Nathan told me a lot about this dinner. I hope it was all good things." One of the investors laughed. "He said you're the only ones who make him more nervous than his own grandmother, which, trust me, is a compliment." Everyone laughed, even Nathan, who shook his head in mock disapproval. Dinner flowed easily. They talked about business, travel, favorite foods, and even wine. Chloe navigated it all effortlessly, charming even the most serious guests. "So, Chloe," one of the investors asked, "what do you do when you're not winning over our friend here?" Chloe pretended to think for a second, then answered, "I organize chaotic schedules, calm inflated egos, and serve coffee with great skill. In other words, I'm an executive assistant." But with a little extra charm. The table laughed. "And how long have you been with Nathan?" another asked. Chloe glanced at Nathan quickly, then smiled at the group. "Long enough to know he hates raisins, prefers dark socks, and secretly cries at dog movies." Nathan cleared his throat quietly, reaching for his water glass. "Chloe is very observant," he said in his most neutral voice. "It's a natural talent," Chloe added, grinning. "I have emotional radar and a sharp eye for fake tough guys." The group roared with laughter again. And though Nathan tried to keep a professional face, he couldn't hide the flicker of admiration in his eyes. On the way back to the car, they walked in a rare, comfortable silence. Chloe smiled softly, looking out at the busy street. "They liked me," she said lightly. "You did well," Nathan replied. "Was that a compliment?" "It was just a fact," he said stubbornly. She nudged him playfully. "You did well too. Less grumpy than usual. Almost. Friendly." "I was under pressure. I couldn't blow our cover," Nathan defended. "And when you defended my terrible music taste," she teased. "Was that also just part of the act?" Nathan looked away. "You're getting used to me," Chloe said quietly. "And whether you like it or not. You're having a lot of automatic reactions lately." Nathan didn't answer. Instead, he stared out the window for a few seconds, lost in thought. Finally, he said, "Chloe, doesn't this bother you?" She tilted her head. "What do you mean? All this pretending, being here, disrupting your routine because of me?" Chloe thought for a moment, then shrugged with a soft smile. "It's strange, but it's the good kind of strange. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I'm part of something, even if it's unlikely, even if it's a little crazy." Nathan stayed quiet. The sincerity in her words was harder to dismiss than he expected. Back at the apartment, Chloe went straight to her room. Kicking off her shoes, she collapsed onto the bed with a deep breath. It had been a good day. Intense, but good. Meanwhile, in the living room, Nathan picked up the official story list Chloe had made days earlier. He grabbed a pen and quietly added a new line at the bottom. 8. She can turn a boring dinner into something unforgettable. Later, Chloe wandered into the kitchen for water and found Nathan making tea. "Still up?" she asked. "I usually stay up late," Nathan said. "Occupational hazard." She sat down at the counter. "You know what's funny?" she said, sipping from the cup he handed her. "I feel more at ease here than I have at home in months." Nathan looked at her, curious. Why is that? Maybe because here I feel seen. Even if it's for something silly like fooling your charming grandmother. You think it's silly? Maybe not so much, Chloe said, smiling softly. Maybe I'm starting to like the feeling of belonging. Nathan didn't say anything, but the small smile tugging at his mouth said enough. Life at Nathan's apartment slowly started to feel weirdly normal. Chloe adapted easily to the world of large windows, minimalist furniture, and a man who used the same tone of voice to say both good morning and fix the Q3 reports. To fight the heavy silence, Chloe even made a breakfast playlist, gentle, calming music to start the day. It mildly irritated Nathan, but he never once asked her to turn it off. Does music actually improve your mood? Chloe asked one morning, stirring her coffee. Or are you just pretending not to hate my playlists? I can handle 3 tracks, Nathan said, raising an eyebrow. After that, I feel like I'm living in a luxury elevator. Chloe beamed. I'll take that as a compliment. After a few days, the pretending started to feel automatic. They had inside jokes, stuck to their self-made house rules. And somehow, Chloe always knew the exact minute Nathan needed his second coffee of the day without him saying a word. Every afternoon at 2:27 p.m. sharp, a fresh cup appeared on his desk, like magic. And Nathan? He started to realize he missed it on the rare days she forgot. Pretend was feeling a little too real, and neither of them was ready to admit it yet. Before we begin, be honest. Would you notice if someone started acting jealous over you? Tell us in the comments yes or no. Chloe and Nathan thought they could control the game. But jealousy doesn't follow the rules. On the third morning of sharing the same space, Nathan leaned back in his chair and muttered, "This is spooky." Chloe winked at him from across the room. "This is emotional efficiency, dear." Nathan just shook his head, but he didn't deny it. That Thursday, while Chloe was reviewing her schedule, a notification popped up on her phone. Ethan Hale. "Hey, I heard you're at Parker Corp. I'm in a meeting on the 10th floor. Want to grab lunch? Would be great to catch up after all this time." Chloe smiled without realizing it. Ethan, her old high school classmate. One of the few people who never teased her about her hand-me-down shoes or grocery bag lunches. Kind. Funny. Incredibly popular back then, and apparently even more polished now. "Who's Ethan?" Nathan asked casually, catching the change in her expression. "An old friend." "Schoolmate," Chloe said. "He's here at the office and wants to grab lunch. Totally normal." Nathan glanced at the clock, then back at Chloe. "Lunch?" "Yes," she said, laughing a little. "Just 2 old friends catching up. Normal people do that." "How long is this lunch?" Nathan asked, his tone suspiciously even. "Are you going to time it?" Chloe teased. "Relax, I'll be back before you finish your quarterly report." "That would be too fast," Nathan muttered. "Fine," Chloe grinned. "I'll bring back dessert too." Ethan was already waiting in the lobby, tall and easygoing as ever, dressed sharply in a well-fitted suit. "Chloe," he called, arms open wide. She hugged him back, laughing. "Ethan, how is it that you look better, and I just look more late?" "You look great," he said warmly. "And you still have that same energy?" They walked 2 blocks to a cozy restaurant, chatting easily about old times. Ethan was running a fast-growing educational tech startup, now confident, successful, charming as ever. "And you?" he asked. "Parker Corp, huh? How did that happen?" Chloe laughed. "Long story. It involves the wrong building, a mistaken interview, and a secretary position offered by a very unconventional CEO. Sounds like the start of a romantic comedy," Ethan teased. "I hope it stays a comedy," Chloe said with a small smile. "Too much romance complicates things." Ethan grinned. "And this CEO, he your direct boss?" "Nathan Parker," Chloe confirmed. "Wow," Ethan said. "I've heard of him. Focused, private, efficient. They say he can't stand distractions. And yet," Chloe said laughing, "he hired me. Maybe he sees in you what others don't," Ethan said softly. Chloe blushed slightly and quickly changed the subject. Back at the office, Chloe found Nathan standing stiffly in front of her desk. You came back on time, he said, eyes narrowing slightly. Impressive. Did you miss me? Chloe teased. I was monitoring punctuality, Nathan deadpanned. Strictly professional. Chloe tilted her head. Does Ethan make you uncomfortable? No. Why would he? Nathan said too fast. Because your eyebrows are more tense than usual, Chloe said, crossing her arms. Maybe it's just concentration. Or maybe it's jealousy, she added playfully. Nathan stepped closer, his voice low. Chloe, this is just a contract. She smiled sweetly, but didn't answer. By the end of the day, Nathan was still off. He wouldn't admit it, not even under corporate-level pressure, but something about Ethan stuck in his mind and he didn't like it. Meanwhile, Chloe, blissfully unaware, was typing away at her computer with headphones on. Nathan tapped the edge of her desk. We're going out for dinner tonight, he said. Chloe looked up, blinking. Dinner? Out? Restaurant? Waiters? Dim lights? Company card? It's part of the act. We need to be seen in public. She smirked. Got it. I'll wear my blue dress, the one your grandmother would approve of. The restaurant Nathan chose was elegant but understated, with soft lighting and quiet instrumental music. During dinner, Chloe leaned across the table, studying him. You've been different since lunch, she said. Quieter, less sarcastic. Almost introspective. Nathan shrugged. Maybe it's the setting. Maybe I'm digesting emotions. Chloe laughed. Are you admitting you feel something? I'm saying my stomach feels the weight of responsibility, Nathan corrected dryly. I'd say you felt something when you saw Ethan, Chloe teased, her eyes twinkling. Nathan kept his gaze steady on her. And you? What did you feel when you saw him? Chloe paused, thinking. Nostalgia. He was one of the few people who were kind to me in school. But honestly, he didn't make me laugh like you do. Nathan hadn't expected that answer. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. On the way home, riding the elevator together, Chloe leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You know, she said, you act very strange when you're jealous. I wasn't jealous, Nathan said immediately. Of course not, Chloe said, grinning. You just answered 3 times more bluntly than usual and scheduled a last-minute dinner like you were trying to buy my attention. Nathan shook his head. You're really good at reading people. Only the ones who try to hide their feelings, Chloe said softly, not breaking eye contact. And somewhere between the soft hum of the elevator and the thud of their footsteps on the marble floor, both of them realized pretending wasn't just pretending anymore. Something real was starting to grow, and neither of them could ignore it much longer. Before we dive back in, if you ever felt something real and had to let it go, what helped you move forward? Share in the comments your story might inspire someone else. Chloe and Nathan thought they could walk away clean. But real emotions leave real scars. The elevator dinged softly, signaling their arrival, but neither Chloe nor Nathan spoke. Nathan took a deep breath. Chloe, this isn't part of the plan. What exactly? Feelings? Jealousy? Confusion? Chloe asked softly. I know, but we're human. And humans complicate even the simplest things. They stepped out onto their floor, the silence between them heavier than any conversation. Later that night, Nathan found Chloe in the kitchen sitting on the counter, eating cereal straight from the box. Too early for breakfast. Too late for dinner, Nathan commented, leaning against the counter. Chloe grinned around a mouthful. It's the meal of emotional confusion. It fits the mood. Nathan poured himself a glass of water. About today? It's okay, Chloe interrupted, her smile faltering. I get it. We're just pretending, Nathan. She stood up, voice calm but heart racing. I know the plan was supposed to be simple, but life never is. And look, I'm willing to keep pretending if that's what you want. But don't ask me to pretend I don't feel it getting more real every day. Nathan watched her for a long moment. I didn't want you to get hurt, he said quietly. And what if it's you who ends up hurt? Chloe whispered with a sad smile. Without waiting for a response, she walked away, leaving Nathan standing alone with more questions than answers. That night, in her room, Chloe hugged a pillow tightly. For the first time, she couldn't tell the difference between what was fake and what was becoming painfully real. And on the other side of the wall, Nathan couldn't sleep either. They were still pretending. But deep down, they both knew the truth. This wasn't pretend anymore. It was a Friday night. The Parker Court building was almost empty. Silence filled the halls. Except for one small office light still burning. Nathan sat at his desk, tie loosened, reviewing expansion reports that seemed endless. The clock ticked past 8 p.m. The coffee in his cup was cold, and his mind was colder. Chloe appeared at the door, carrying a glass of juice and a chocolate bar. "Nighttime intervention," she said, placing them on his desk. "No one's productive with bags under their eyes that big." Nathan accepted it without protest. "You're still here. Someone has to make sure you eat something that isn't caffeine." Chloe shrugged. "Besides, it's easier to work at night. No one's asking me to resend the same email 4 times. You don't have to stay. I know. But sometimes, it's better than overthinking. Sometimes, a quiet mind is louder than a crowded room." Nathan looked at her. Really looked. "You okay?" Chloe hesitated, then sat down across from him. "Remember Ethan?" she asked. "My old friend?" "How could I forget?" Nathan said dryly. "He messaged me today, said he wanted to see me again. And for a second, I thought maybe. But I couldn't get excited about it. And I think I know why." Nathan stayed silent, just listening. Chloe met his eyes. "This crazy agreement between us. It's affecting me more than it should. I can't ignore how I feel when I'm around you." The room fell silent. Nathan put down his pen and leaned forward slightly. "Chloe, I know what you're going to say," she cut in, smiling sadly. "That it's just a deal. That it's all pretend. That we have rules. But life doesn't follow rules," she whispered. "And sometimes even fake things can spark real feelings." Nathan closed his eyes briefly. "I never wanted to drag you into something that would hurt you." "You didn't drag me," Chloe said. "I walked in. Willingly." Nathan stood and walked to the window, looking out at the glittering city. "I've never been good at this. Feelings. Connections. I prefer control. Spreadsheets. Logic." Chloe approached him slowly. "Not everything needs to be controlled. Some things just need to be felt." Nathan turned to her. His face was serious, but his eyes, they were full of fear, longing, and something dangerously close to hope. "This," he whispered. "It's dangerous." "Maybe," Chloe whispered back. "But what isn't?" Without another word, Nathan stepped forward. Chloe didn't move. He reached up, hesitantly, brushing her face with his hand, and then kissed her. It wasn't careful. It wasn't planned. It was real. True. Unstoppable. And for one breathtaking moment, all the rules, contracts, and expectations disappeared. When they pulled apart, Chloe kept her eyes closed for a moment longer. "Was that in the script?" she finally whispered. Nathan gave a small, crooked smile. "I think we just went off script." She opened her eyes, heart pounding. "And now?" Nathan's voice was low but steady. "Now, we face the consequences. Together." Monday morning arrived quietly. The smell of coffee didn't fill the kitchen. The radio Chloe usually played wasn't on. Nathan sat at the table, staring blankly at a newspaper. The words swam in front of his eyes, meaningless. His mind was stuck on Friday night. That kiss. Across the apartment, Chloe stared at her reflection in the mirror, tying her hair back with shaking hands. She was nervous. More nervous than she wanted to admit. Over the weekend, Nathan had kept his distance. Not cold, but careful. Too careful. Chloe entered the kitchen, smiling softly. "Good morning." "Good morning," Nathan said without looking at her. Without the usual teasing, she grabbed an apple from the fridge, pretending not to notice. "Did you sleep well?" "More or less," he said flatly. Silence stretched between them like a thick rope ready to snap. Finally, Chloe broke it. "About Friday. I think it's better if we don't talk about that," Nathan said sharply. Chloe froze. "Not talk about it?" It was a moment. A distraction. "It's not part of our arrangement." Chloe put the apple down. "And since when does life follow arrangements? We both know something's happening. Ignoring it won't make it disappear." Nathan crossed his arms. I need this to stay simple. Simple? Chloe laughed humorlessly. You moved me into your apartment, asked me to fake a relationship with your family, your co-workers, your life, and now you want it simple? I didn't want this, Nathan said tightly. I didn't expect to feel anything. Neither did I, Chloe whispered. But feeling something isn't a mistake, Nathan. Nathan's voice cracked slightly. I feel like I'm losing control. And that terrifies me. Chloe stepped closer. Maybe that's the problem. You're so used to control. You forgot what it's like to just live. Nathan took a shaky breath. I think this has gone too far, he said quietly. Maybe we should stop. End the agreement. All of it. Chloe felt her heart clench painfully. So, you want me to leave? I think it's what's best, Nathan said. Chloe nodded, biting back tears. Of course. I understand. 2 hours later, her purple suitcase was back in the living room. Her pillow. Her cookie jar. On the kitchen table, she left an envelope. Inside, a simple, handwritten note. It was a good lie. So good that for a moment, I believed it. Take care of your grandmother. And yourself. Nathan found it late that night. He read it once. Twice. 3 times. Then he tucked it away in the drawer next to the first note Chloe had ever written. The days that followed were silent, heavy, wrong. At Parker Corp, Nathan went through the motions, but even Amanda noticed he wasn't the same. You've been staring at yesterday's meeting schedule for 15 minutes, she pointed out one morning. And the meeting was yesterday. Nathan closed the tablet, his throat tight, his heart even tighter. Meanwhile, Chloe threw herself into a new opportunity, a fresh start with Ethan's communications company. A place that celebrated ideas, color, energy. It felt good to be heard, to belong. But some nights, when the city was too quiet and the stars too distant, Chloe would remember a kiss that wasn't supposed to happen, a life that wasn't supposed to begin, and wonder, was it all fake? Or was it the truest thing she'd ever felt? Sometimes fate doesn't whisper. Sometimes it slams the door literally and demands you listen. Nathan knew something was wrong the moment he walked past the desk that used to be Chloe's. It was empty. No colorful sticky notes. No coffee mug. No laughter spilling over the cubicle walls. Something tightened in his chest. It was like a part of his day had been ripped away, and he hadn't even realized how vital it was until now. One evening, Dolores called. Looks like there's no hope for you, she said bluntly. You called just to remind me of that? Nathan asked dryly. I called because my friend's daughter saw Chloe at a tech event, Dolores said. She was glowing. Nathan stayed silent. And guess what I thought? Dolores continued. What? That you're a fool. You let a woman with her own light slip away. And now she's lighting up someplace else. Congratulations, Nathan. Nathan closed his eyes, swallowing the tight knot forming in his throat. You called just to make me uncomfortable, he asked. I called to remind you, Dolores said sternly, that sometimes, to get back what really matters, you have to do what you've never done, lower your guard. Then she hung up without saying goodbye. Meanwhile, Chloe was building her new life. She accepted an offer to join a public communications panel, her first time speaking as an official team representative. On the day of the event, she wore a simple blazer, black pants, and a quiet sparkle in her eyes. Ethan walked beside her, proud. Nervous? He asked. A little, Chloe admitted, but also excited. I'm doing something important for myself. And you look beautiful doing it, Ethan said warmly. Chloe smiled and thanked him politely, but her heart felt strangely detached. Across the room, sitting unnoticed in the back row, Nathan watched. He hadn't announced he was coming. He hadn't even told himself why he had to come. But there she was. Radiant. Confident. Independent. As Chloe spoke about empathetic communication and the power of truly listening, Nathan felt an unfamiliar ache of pride and regret. After the event, he slipped out quietly, before she could see him. But that night, he opened the drawer in his office and reread every note, every list Chloe had ever left behind, searching for the courage to take the next step. The very next morning, Chloe arrived at her office and found an envelope waiting on her desk. Inside, one simple handwritten note. Some people only realize the value of light after spending too long in the dark. Thank you for bringing light into my life. I'm learning to light my own way now. But if one day you'd like to share that light, I'll be here. Chloe read it, then read it again. And for the first time since the agreement ended, she smiled a real, from the heart, smile. It wasn't the end. It was a beginning. Her beginning. That same morning, Nathan got another unexpected message from Dolores. I'm not feeling well. Can you come? It's serious. Nathan cancelled his morning meetings without hesitation and drove to his grandmother's house. His heart pounding. When he arrived, key in hand, he burst through the front door. Grandma, he called. Dolores was calmly sipping tea in her favorite armchair. You're okay? Nathan asked, bewildered. I'm alive, Dolores said casually. But I've been feeling lonely. And loneliness, my dear, is serious too. Nathan sighed heavily. Grandma. Before he could finish, the doorbell rang. When Nathan opened it, he froze. Chloe stood there, bag in hand, nervous, hopeful. I got a message from your grandmother, she said. She said it was serious. I came as fast as I could. Nathan turned to Dolores. You sent a message to both of us? Dolores smiled sweetly. I'm so glad you both came. I do need help, but not the kind you're thinking. Nathan frowned. Chloe looked skeptical. There's a problem in my bedroom, Dolores said dramatically. Too strange to explain. You'll have to see for yourselves. In Dolores's room, everything seemed perfectly normal. Lavender, scented air, tidy sheets. Not a single thing out of place. So, what's the problem? Nathan asked, arms crossed. Dolores pointed dramatically. Over there, near the dresser. I heard a noise last night. Both Nathan and Chloe walked toward the corner, and just as they turned away from the door, click. The door slammed shut behind them. Grandma? Nathan shouted. Dolores's voice floated through the door. Oh dear. Looks like the lock jammed. The locksmith will be here tomorrow morning. Good night, children. Nathan leaned his forehead against the door in disbelief. We've been tricked. With style, Chloe added. Inside the room it was awkwardly silent. Chloe sat on the edge of the bed. Nathan paced, then sighed and grabbed a pillow. I'll take the floor. This carpet feels like it has invisible thorns, he grumbled after a few minutes. Just imagine if you brought your orthopedic mattress, Chloe teased. You'd be demanding emotional compensation by now. Nathan chuckled quietly. My back is a national treasure. Chloe smiled softly at the ceiling. Do you think she planned all of this? No doubt, Nathan said. She saw what we were trying to hide. And she got tired of waiting for us to figure it out. After a long, heavy silence, Chloe whispered into the dark. I missed you. Nathan lifted his head off the pillow, stunned. Even after everything? Even then, Chloe said. Silence. Then Nathan's voice low and raw. I missed you too. Every day. I was scared, Chloe admitted. Scared of feeling. Scared of getting hurt. I was scared too, Nathan said quietly. But being apart was worse. Finally, Chloe asked, her voice trembling. Do you still want to try? More than anything, Nathan answered instantly. The two of them lay there, separated by a pillow border on the bed. Until they shifted, bit by bit, shoulder to shoulder, breathing in sync, as if the universe was saying, it's okay, you're where you're supposed to be. In the soft glow of the morning sun, Dolores knocked cheerfully on the door. Good morning. Are you two still alive in there? Nathan, groggy but peaceful, called back. Still alive, Grandma? The lock seems to be working better now, Dolores said innocently. A miracle, isn't it? Or a setup. Maybe a little of both. Chloe stirred awake, eyes still half closed. She turned to Nathan and smiled sleepily. Good morning, love, she whispered. And for the first time, Nathan smiled right back without hesitation, because this time there was no pretending, no contracts, no rules, only truth, and the beginning of something real. Before we begin, would you ever believe a random mistake could lead you to your soulmate? Tell us in the comments. What started with a wrong building ended with a right forever. Nathan looked at Chloe, smiling half asleep in the soft morning light. He took her hand and kissed the tips of her fingers. "Good morning," he whispered. Chloe smiled wider, her voice still drowsy. "Good morning, love." Outside the door, Dolores leaned back in her chair, sipping her coffee with a victorious smile. "Nothing like a good plan," she said to herself. "Now I can enjoy my coffee in peace." 3 weeks passed since that night Dolores had accidentally locked Nathan and Chloe in the bedroom. Since then, everything between them had taken on a new rhythm. No masks, no contracts, just two hearts learning to move at the same pace, stumbling sometimes, laughing every time they did. Nathan was no longer the man who had to control the way books sat on a shelf. Chloe no longer needed to prove she was worthy of love. They had discovered together, the most genuine feelings don't follow logic, but they always make sense. That Saturday morning, Manhattan was glowing under the soft sun. A light breeze played with the curtains in their apartment, or as Chloe now called it, our neutral zone, with a tendency toward messiness. Nathan was in the kitchen, slicing fruit with near-surgical precision, when Chloe walked in, wearing one of his t-shirts and a mischievous smile. "I like watching you with knives," she teased. "Adds a dangerous charm to your image." Nathan smirked, handing her a strawberry. "And I like seeing you in my t-shirts, though I may never find half of them again." "They're keepsakes now," Chloe said, biting into the fruit. "Sentimental items. Extremely high emotional value." Nathan laughed the sound free and warm. Then he looked at her. Really looked. "Have you ever noticed? The apartment feels bigger when you're here." "Was that supposed to be a compliment?" Chloe teased. "A poetic observation," Nathan replied. "I'll accept it. But only because I'm hungry." After breakfast, Nathan disappeared for a few minutes. Chloe thought nothing of it until he called her to the balcony. "Chloe," he said, his voice different somehow. She stepped outside suspiciously and froze. A small table sat there, covered with a white cloth. In the center, a blue box tied with a gold ribbon. Scattered around it, photos. Them in the elevator. Their dinner with the investors. Dolores's house. The first day, Chloe wore a badge that wasn't even hers. "What is this?" Chloe whispered. "A conversation," Nathan said, pulling out a chair for her. "And, maybe, a plan." They sat side by side. "When you first walked into my office," Nathan began, "I thought it was just a mistake." And it was. But it was the most wonderful mistake of my life. You shook my routine, made me laugh, and just when I thought I could keep everything under control, you showed me that real love means letting go. Tears welled up in Chloe's eyes. "I never imagined," she whispered, "that walking into the wrong building would lead me to the right person." Nathan reached for the small blue box, got down on one knee. "Chloe Martins, will you be my wife? My partner? My daily dose of chaos? And the reason I laugh every day for the rest of my life?" Chloe covered her mouth, overwhelmed. The world tilted for a moment, then settled perfectly. "That's the most beautiful, most unexpected, and most you proposal I could ever imagine," she said, crying and laughing at once. "So of course I will, you wonderfully grumpy man." Nathan slid the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a tight hug, kissing her like he never wanted the moment to end. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you too," Chloe said, beaming. "And now you're stuck with me. No exceptions." 2 months later, the wedding was set. Small, intimate, overflowing with meaning. Nathan had only one request. It had to be outdoors. And Dolores had to be sitting in the front row. And there she was, wearing a huge pink hat, dark sunglasses, and fanning herself like royalty. "I can't remember the last time I went to a wedding this lovely," Dolores whispered to Amanda, who smiled beside her. "Maybe," Amanda replied, "because this one feels real." "Or maybe," Dolores said with a twinkle in her eye, "because I planned it all from the start." The ceremony took place in a beautiful garden outside the city. White flowers everywhere, string lights hanging from trees, smiles in every corner. Chloe walked down the aisle arm in arm with her mother, wearing a soft, flowing dress. Nathan stood at the altar, his eyes locked on hers, like nothing else existed. "You look exactly how I imagined," he whispered as she reached him. "Ever since you told me you could dance in a long dress." Chloe laughed through her tears. "And you look almost friendly." "I'm suspicious." During their vows, Chloe took a deep breath and spoke. "I've never been the type to make perfect plans. My life has always been full of surprises, improvisation, and missteps. But out of all my mistakes, the best one was walking into the wrong building, because that's where I found you. And now, more than loving you, I admire you. I want to be the person who reminds you every day. You can smile more, complain less, and live with lightness." Nathan's voice was thick with emotion as he spoke next. "I've never been good at showing emotions. I spent my life trying to stay in control. But you taught me that love isn't control. It's freedom. It's messy. It's laughing in the middle of an argument. It's hidden chocolate in a drawer. It's loud music at breakfast. It's you. And I want to spend every day learning how to be the man you already believe I can be." The guests stood and applauded. Dolores wiped her eyes with a handkerchief. Amanda smiled warmly. Even Ethan, who had come as a guest, clapped harder than anyone. After the "I do" and the official kiss, Chloe leaned in and whispered in Nathan's ear, "Now it's official. You're mine forever." "And you're my favorite kind of chaos," Nathan whispered back. The reception was filled with unforgettable moments. Chloe tripping twice while dancing, laughing each time. Amanda giving a heartfelt toast about second chances. Ethan surprising Chloe with a notebook titled, "Great stories start with small detours." Later that night, Chloe and Nathan slipped away into the garden. Just the two of them. They sat together on a quiet bench, watching the fairy lights flicker overhead. "Are you happy?" Nathan asked, voice low. "More than I ever thought I'd be," Chloe whispered. "And you?" "You make me happy," Nathan said. "It's that simple." They kissed under the lights. And somewhere in the quiet, the city hummed. But all Chloe and Nathan heard was the sound of two hearts finally finding home. What did you think of Chloe and Nathan's story? Let us know in the comments. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much did you love this journey? Doto. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another emotional story. .com. And check out another beautiful love story right here on Stunning Story.